Hey guys, welcome back for Towers Films, joined by.
Doug 218. What are we going to talk about today?
We are going to talk about Survivor Edge of Extinction, episode number 9. And wow, a lot happened, I must say. There was 2 tribal councils in an hour on this episode. Wasn't a 2-hour episode. Two voted out tribal councils.
Two weeks of Survivor in 1 week.
In 1 week. So that was a lot happened, I must say.
Yikes. Okay.
So it starts off with that the newly formed kind of alliance are happy that they're kind of together with Ron and Julie, that they're now with the Lasso 3, and Gavin, I believe, is with them too. And, they're all kind of happy that, now that we're together kind of thing. We just pick off everybody else that's left from Kama and David and Devins, and we can just go on our merry way. So everybody's not kumbayaing, but kind of like they think it's kind of like relaxed. Now we have less stress kind of thing. So you would think, right? But this is Survivor, and they've done many blind slides so far this season, and they were possibly going to angle for another one.
Maybe two.
The first ones were not surprising what they were thinking of, and basically thinking of, again, David and getting rid of him, simply because, he can pretty much talk his way like out of almost any kind of trouble imaginable, and he's really good at competitions too. So
he is a double threat. That man has got a silver tongue.
Oh yeah, he's very good.
He has talked himself out of poop, and he's talked people into doing.
Yeah, yes, yeah. So they see him as a threat, which makes sense.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Of course, if you don't see him as a threat, I mean, you're not paying attention, basically.
You've been living on the beach with your eyes closed.
And so, like, Devins and David know they're kind of on the outs a little bit with this group. So they're trying to work. Maybe they can pull in Victoria, possibly talk with Gavin, and maybe convince Ron and Julie to come flip back over and work with them, because they're like, the Lasso 3 are really strong together, and they have not deviated from their votes since the time they were together. Like, that's like, Wentworth, Lauren, and Wardog.
He's got to go.
Oh, I would hope. I mean, yeah. And really, that's kind of who David wanted to target, was Wardog. Because of that, because really
he's arrogant.
He's arrogant, yeah, really. He does kind of rub people the wrong way.
No.
And the fact that he's kind of the head of that alliance, I mean, not to say Wentworth and Lauren aren't smart, because they are. They haven't told anybody else that they have hidden immunity idols. But it's kind of like he's the one that's kind of saying, we need to do this, we need to do that.
He's the mouthpiece.
Really, yeah, exactly. And he's kind of partially why Julie and Ron went with them, really, because he kind of really made that kind of overture with them, and like saying, look, you're on the bottom of the Kama 6. You're pretty much in trouble because they're going to target you next. Oh, yeah. Like, that yes, they might get rid of us first, but really, you'll be the next after that. So why not flip over while you still can and work with us?
Yeah. So he's like David. He can sell you a bill of goods.
He can, although I think David's better at it, because I think people like him more.
Well,
than they like Wardog.
I'm sure outside of this whole game environment, Wardog might be a very intelligent individual.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
But David's got the linguistic aspect of how he talks, and
right.
He's very engaging.
Yeah, exactly how he talks. Yeah.
And he's able to just literally pull you in and hold your attention.
He can make you believe what he's telling you. Oh. And I mean, that's a definite asset in this game. You really need people to believe what you're saying, even though he plans to stab you in the back. But, although he has been loyal to Devin, so,
yes. we've just introduced the children to neuro-linguistic programming.
Pretty much, yeah. So we go into the first tribal council, or first immunity challenge. And it's one we've seen before. They're basically standing on like a platform, and they have these long kind of poles that they have to balance on their shoulders. And at the end, they're balancing a pot of water over fire. So they have to squat to keep the balance of the of the container. Now, if they wobble, the container will fall over, and the water will put the fire out, and they're out of the game. But they have a choice. They can either go for immunity, or they can go and sit and have pizza, beer, or root beer. So
I call that a catch-22.
Well, yeah, of course. It shows you, if you think about it, shows you who believes they're safe. That they will go and sit, and that they're confident in who they're working with, that they're not going to get voted out.
Or like
that shows that they're confident.
Or like Wentworth, I got a hidden immunity idol in my pocket.
Right, so does Lauren. So Lauren, Wentworth, I think Ron.
Hold on.
There's about 3 or 4 of them and went and sat and had pizza. I'm pretty sure. I know Wentworth did. I'm pretty sure Lauren did. I think Ron did.
Lauren, Kelly, Victoria, and Ron.
Victoria is the one I forgot. I thought it might have been Victoria, but I wasn't sure.
Our only Ginger on the show. Which
is interesting that she would go, because she's on the other side of the comma, so I'm surprised she would actually feel comfortable enough to go eat.
She thought she was secure enough. So.
I guess so. I guess she thinks that, and she said that later on at Tribal, she thinks that there's probably bigger targets than her at this point, so as usual, they start dropping like flies. And it comes down, and it almost boom, 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 like almost one right after another. Of course, the show might seem not as long, but it might have been a bit longer, but it seemed pretty quick, I must say. And of course, it comes down to David and Aurora. Now, initially, they had said David is a beast when it comes to endurance type balance competitions, and Aurora's very good at it too. And initially they were talking about that it'd be Aurora out of the new group that they would get rid of next, is Aurora, because she's good at competitions and they've been wanting to get her out for a while. So it comes down to Aurora and David, and David's one of those, how you doing? She's like, I'm not leaving, I'm winning this, because she kind of had to win this. David knows he kind of has to too. So they're there for a while. They're both pretty solid. And that's out of nowhere. David drops. He loses his balance. So David's out, and Aurora wins immunity. So there goes her plan to get rid of Aurora. So now they're having a scramble. Okay, now who do we do? I'm pretty sure Devin's name had come up. They talked about David because he's not with the lasso and all that. But during all this, David and Devins are talking to Victoria, and they're talking to Gavin, and they're trying to work things that, and they talk to both Julie and Ron and saying, you're at the bottom of that. So why would you want to work with them when you can come work with us, and we can do a big move, and we can get rid of some of these power players, really, because there are 3 that are never going to go against each other. They're always going to vote together, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they're rock solid.
Right. And they have been since day one, basically. So it looked like Julie and Ron were thinking about it, because they know they're pretty much in the middle of either they could go with the new kind of tribe or new alliance, or they could kind of flip back over to where David and Devins are.
They're like the prettiest girl at the dance. Everyone wants them.
And their idea is to get rid of War Dog. Because really, if you think about it, he's kind of their biggest threat on this side. So they go to Tribal, and they're talking about it, and they usually do talk about where the alliances are, and again, David is trying to basically put it in their heads that you're on the bottom here, that they're never going to vote against each other, they're going to stick together, and you're basically next. Once they get rid of me, which I'm their prime target, they're gonna go after you, because basically he had a point. He's like, tell me something. You've got the 3 lasso. are you going to want to sit next to a Kama? Or are you going to want to sit next to Lasso? Who do you think you can win against? Because look at the jury. A lot of them are Kama.
Yeah.
There are a lot of Lasso or actually original Manu on there. But they're not necessarily going to want you to come because, let's face it, they were the stronger tribe, right? Yeah. So who would you rather bring with you? Are you going to bring somebody you've been with day one, or somebody just kind of flipped over because you had no choice in the matter?
Well, I do find it kind of funny. He usually seems to come out with these real big final push speeches at Tribal.
Very good at it. And it makes sense what he's saying.
And the man without fail has swung people.
Oh, yeah, sure. And even War Dog said that. War Dog said at Tribal, it goes, he's trying to save himself. Of course he's going to say this. He does it every single time. He's back against the wall.
And David was honest, you know.
Yeah. Of course, yeah.
I got to do what I got to do.
And that's how it's played, basically. So they end up voting, and there were some votes for War Dog. But in the end, they vote out David. So it's not really a surprise that they voted out David, really, because Ron and Julie thought that they weren't ready, really, to flip back over because they kind of saved them and they felt more comfortable staying with that tribe or that alliance, right, at the moment anyway. It doesn't mean that they'd switch back, but or form something else. But for now, that's kind of what they were thinking. So, of course, David walks out. And yeah, you know,
he's like, "Oh, I'll take this. I'll take the torch."
So he goes off, off to Edge of Extinction, which we switch to in the second half of the show. Now David's just gotten there, and they get bottle mail or messages in a bottle, and so David, of course, he hasn't been there before, and he knows they've been there, so they kind of already know how this works. Some of them, poor Reem's been there since day 3.
You know what? Geez, if they had a missed congeniality, hell, vote for this girl. She has been on Extinction since day 3.
So she's been there a long time.
And the woman has hung
tough. Talk about tough. That wouldn't be easy.
She's a tough old girl, man.
She's been there the longest, so wow. But so they each get a note in their bottle, and there's a rhyme in it. Remember what the rhyme said?
Something about jagged. And
something about jagged and smooth, and something about when you feel the most hollow, you'll find the answers you seek. And so they're all thinking of what it could possibly mean. Joe and I think Eric thought it meant by the flag that they raise up because it's jagged, and when you feel the most hollow, you're gonna put up the flag. So they're digging there; they don't find anything. Forget who went up to where there are rices.
The rice stairs.
Where the rice stairs. He went up there. Actually, that might have been Eric. He went up to the rice stairs, and because he thought, hollow, you're hungry, so nothing there. Aubrey is looking all over the place. Where David's thinking, well, I'm still in game mode. So they've been here a while, and it's hard when you're removed from the game to stay thinking game mindset, mode. But he's just left, so he's still thinking game-wise. So he thinks of the rocks, jagged, smooth, hollows. So he's looking at all the rocks, and he finds it.
Of course.
Of course he does. And it's an advantage, but not for him, for somebody in the game.
Can you guess who he gives it to?
Well, first he's thinking, who should he give it to? Should it be somebody that would make him think positively of him for if he gets back in the game? But he ends up, of course, giving it to Devins, who's been basically with him from the beginning, right? So he ends up giving it to Devins.
That's loyalty, man.
Oh, yeah. They've been pretty loyal to each other, almost from day one. So, that's who he gave it to. Which leads us to the second immunity challenge. And this time, they have this like this big paddle with this long handle.
And it's like a ping pong paddle.
Like a giant ping pong paddle
with divots.
And they have 5 balls. See, if you watch our Big Brother one, this is the same kind of thing that they had to do.
Sounds awful familiar, doesn't it, kids?
So except it wasn't a puzzle, and so they had to roll the ball down the long handle, and then they had to get the ball into 5 divots, and it was 5 of them. Devin's advantage is he only had to land 4. So they're all doing pretty well. But of course, then balls fall left, right, and center. And Devin gets pretty close a couple times, then he loses his balls. He gets... Stop that. You know what I'm talking about.
She went there too.
That's because he laughed. He laughed, that's why. It's a family channel. Shame. So, there are the little balls. So he picks him up, and he actually lands the 3 again really quickly. He's good at this.
He dialed in.
Oh, yeah. He was very good at this. So he gets the last ball, and he wins immunity. And, I don't even know if he needed the advantage side of the truth, but it obviously helped.
Well, you figure, like, a lot of them, 5 balls, you think, okay, this is going to be easy. But then,
Maybe.
It's trying to find the right track to roll it down, the right speed. Okay, how do I get it into the front ones
and
first?
Then not lose the other ones, because like in order to adjust it, and that you have to move it, and I could actually dislodge one of the others or all of them,
because the divots are just big enough to sit
to hold the
just
ball.
To hold it.
They're almost like golf ball size, but and it's also resting, which makes it even harder on a ball. Like the whole big paddle thing is resting on like a ball, because at one point, Julie, her paddle came off, and it's like it's resting on a ball itself so that it could pivot. So it's not even on there like solid either. So that makes it even harder again.
Yeah.
So, but he did phenomenally well, I must say. He did it very quickly.
Good for him.
So, of course, the negotiating start, he should go for. So then, War Dog, out of nowhere, decides he wants to turn on his alliance. And he wants to go after Kelly. One of the one persons he has always voted with from day one, War Dog. Which is interesting and completely out of nowhere. Because they had, if you remember way back when, they didn't want any of the returnees
that was
getting pretty far into the game. And Kelly is a returnee. So now Aubrey's out, Joe's out, David's out. Kelly's the only one left that's a returnee. So I think that's partially what it is. And plus she's also been part of a lot of the blind sides and
reason a lot of them are sitting in those
exactly
seats.
So he knows he's gonna have a harder time winning if she's still sitting there. So he starts working his magic and trying to get Kelly out. Ron and Julie are they're not 100% sure of that, because they don't really want to, is it too soon to kind of turn on their own alliance again, kind of thing. And they had thought, who was it that the other one that they initially thought of voting out besides Kelly?
Let's see if I can find that. Sorry, guys, it's a long episode.
It's a lot happened in the episode. Have to look that up.
Oh, jeez, I don't think we have the notes for
that. Should. Well, we mostly heard of Kelly, really.
Yeah, well, pretty much Kelly was the hot ticket.
It's potentially Aurora, though, because she's still hanging around. And I think that's what Kelly and Lauren thought it would be Aurora. So they're thinking of going for Aurora. Or at least that's what Kelly and Lauren and all that are thinking. But they're also talking about potentially they may go for Kelly. And she has a hidden immunity idol. But, all that kind of discussion goes on, as usual.
Every day.
They had the tribal council. And you don't really get much of a sense of what they want to do. You kind of get the idea, really, that they're kind of going to go with the plan of what they were already sticking to with the main alliance. Although they're looking at each other like War Dog and all that, they're kind of like...
Yeah, they're giving each other the side eye,
Yeah.
Like, so you know
something's up.
Something's in the works.
But of course, they're behind Wentworth and Lauren because they're sitting in the front, so they can't see it really.
It's almost like, you ready? You ready?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. But they're like agreeing with, oh yeah, why would we want to switch alliances now? We've been pretty much from day one and all this kind of stuff. So War, I think, thinks that she might go home, but they may have filled her in on the different scenario.
Yeah.
And I think it's Aurora also has the second vote,
which she gave to
Ron. Now she did that in case she got voted out, and she said, "If I don't get voted out, you give it back to me, or if I do get voted out, then you can use it, or if I get back in from Extinction." Then you can give it back to me. So he actually thought of using it to get rid of Aurora.
I would have. I'm sorry. You give me an advantage, I'm going to pull the trigger on you.
Well, I didn't really quite understand why she did that, but I guess probably because to try to have some kind of trust with the fact of...
Look, I gave you
this. They were both on comma. I gave you this kind of thing.
Protect me.
Yeah, in a way. But he was actually considering using it against her. or
to get rid of her.
To get rid of her. But it comes down to the vote. And Aurora does get some votes. But in the end, they actually voted out Kelly. So War Dog turned on his alliance for the first time. Well, out of the three. The ones that had been voting from day one.
Okay, good question.
What?
Now, this is the second time the blonde bomber has left with a hidden...
Not in this game, but the second time she's left with a hidden immunity idol, which she never used.
Okay.
Because she didn't feel she was threatened. That in danger.
Okay, now that we have Extinction Island.
Yeah.
The question I want to pose to you is, if she gets back in, is that immunity idol active?
Yeah, good question.
Or does it, because she got voted out, that immunity idol is dead?
That's something that wasn't clear. Like, we don't know if she could still use that immunity idol if she gets back in the game. Or is it because she was voted out?
It's dead. That it's dead.
That it's dead. That's not been made clear at this point. So we don't know.
You think about it, though. If she gets voted back in, if she manages to get back in.
Well, they have to
fight their way back in. She's got an ace in her pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. And the funny thing is, they don't even think there are hidden immunity idols because nobody's played one yet.
No.
Except the one that Dave and Devin's had. That's the only one that's been played.
Well,
because they said they scoured the whole area.
Yeah.
And they didn't find any. Well, yeah, Lauren and Kelly both have them, and they didn't tell anybody. So they think all the advantages are coming from Extinction. But they're wrong. There are hidden immunity idols, and they should, if they paid attention, they should know that in this game and think, if we didn't find them, somebody got them, and they haven't told anybody. So, and of course, because she didn't use it, they don't know she had it.
Kelly told Joe when she got the Extinction that she,
Kelly told Joe, I think that she had, and Lauren has one. Yeah. I think she told Joe that. I mean, it's good because they don't know who's going to get back in the game, and so it's good if they're allied, give them information.
Yeah.
Beforehand, like even Aubrey kind of thing, or the common ones that have been voted out. You give them enough info kind of thing, then maybe that can help them if they get back in the game. Sure. So, but all in all, it was interesting. There was a lot that happened. It moved really fast for an hour. A lot happened for an hour.
For a double,
two tribal councils.
I was about to say a double eviction. Well, in a way.
So in a way, it's kind of what it is, really. But thank you for watching. Hope you liked it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button up here somewhere.
Right there.
If you're on mobile, it's down here somewhere. Or here if you're
there
watching sideways, but it can be. Take care. We will see you next week. Enjoy your week, everybody.
Happy Easter, everyone.
Happy Easter if you celebrate. Bye.